All right, welcome back to another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. I'm Chris Driscoll, riding solo tonight. Pretty rare scenario, but obviously it's Tuesday at 6 p.m. This is what used to be our regular time slot when we first started with Sports Fluent, 6 p. 2 to 6. I moved it to Thursdays at 8 in about over a year now. About over a year ago, I should say. It was like about September of last year. But doing it now, however, because it's Thanksgiving week. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And tomorrow night we have NBA Max. So I'm not going to do the podcast on Thursday night. I have a busy weekend ahead. So I figured that Tuesday would be the best time for me to run a pod. That being said, the only downside is that a lot of people traveling, like John and Matt usually come here. Matt's picking up our younger sister from the train station. John's coming in from the city tonight. So both of them couldn't make it, and obviously a lot of people don't work. A lot of people work the traditional jobs, but they're not gonna. They work until 5, and they don't want to just run home and hop on a podcast. The first thing to do outside of work, so I didn't bother asking anyone. Also figured that with what I'm doing tonight for the show, that it was probably just best off to do this part alone, because tonight I am going to talk about the All-Star. My All-Stars to date. However, before I do that, I believe this is episode 104. I want to say 103 was the final episode of the Over-Unders. Then we've had 2 more since, I believe. So yes, today is episode 104. Nothing. We count just for ourselves. We don't count for the jersey number anymore. But since we don't do the jersey number anymore, we do birthdays. So happy birthday to Taylor and Horton Tucker, Josh Minot, Dennis Smith Jr., and Hunter Dickinson. Those are current players of the NBA. All the other ones are players that I'm not too familiar with. I think they're players from like the early mid 90s, maybe. I don't have them written down. The other ones from across sports, happy birthday to Joe DiMaggio, Nick Swisher, and Bucky Dent, all New York Yankees. Bucky Dent, I'm only familiar with his name because of Seinfeld. When Mr. Steinbrenner named off all the managers that he fired, I believe that Bucky Dent was one of them, if I'm not mistaken. Can't imagine many people watching this right now, but if anyone wants to leave a comment down below and correct me if he was indeed a manager of the Yankees, I believe he was. And also on the NFL side, happy birthday to Chris Carter, one of the best wide receivers of all time, and Donovan McNabb, former quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't believe I saw anyone else that I'm familiar with. So those are birthdays. November 25th. Happy birthday to those people. But yeah, we got a pretty good show ahead of us. It's going to be a very, very quick one, probably. Again, I'm only doing this just because I want to try to keep it as consistent as I can, because we took those couple weeks off. But it's always good to get a show in when you have the time. So obviously you couldn't do it on Thursday, so I'm going to do it on Thursday, Thanksgiving. I'm going to try to, so I'm doing it tonight instead. I'm going to be drinking a little more for tonight than drinking water, I should say, than the past. Obviously, when you're alone, you got to keep hydrated for your breaks. But anyway. It's been about a month, and I believe October 22nd is the opening night, so it's been like a month and 3 days, I want to say, of the NBA season. And obviously lots has happened for like momentum shifts for the best teams in the league, for who the best players are, how they've been, and it's only going to get even more interesting as time goes on. Obviously, in the beginning, it fluctuates a lot more. Like now, we're a little more established. Okay, this player is playing at MVP level. He's likely going to be one of the 4 or 5 MVP candidates towards the end of the year. Again, there are going to be certain candidates that might jump out of the woodwork, especially if players get injured. But for the most part, I think we know who the top 2 MVP candidates are, given health and everything, and given how talented the 2 are. Every week I've been doing my top 5 MVP candidates, and I think from here on out, I'd be surprised if we didn't have the same 4 or 5 guys. Maybe definitely 3 or 4. Maybe like the 5th spot was interchangeable with like a couple guys for the next few weeks. But for now, I'm pretty confident with like the first 5 or 6 guys that I have. So, yeah, that's what it is for now. However, it's gonna be very interesting with the All-Star game, because Matt, was John there? Yeah, John was there. Yeah, John, Matt, and I had a conversation. Actually, no, John wasn't there. I think it was just Matt. Yeah, we had a conversation. When John was there, so never mind. Yeah, keep on scrapping. But yes, John was there. We had a conversation about the All-Star game and how the different formatting of it all. I'll explain that. But it changed up how I usually do. Because usually, like I have like a I don't have, like I have like a pretty set formula for how I decide. I shouldn't say I have a set formula, but I do at the very least have a formula. Then I decide, okay, does this look right? And for how it goes, very oftentimes it is the exact guys that I go with, but also very times it's not as well. Um, so before I dive into my picks, I'm just going to go over the NBA's criteria, and then I'm going to go over my criteria too. So the NBA sounds like it has a very pretty open policy this year. So they're going to do similar to last year, where it's going to be round robin, 3 teams, 2 USA and 1 World, 24 All Stars, 12 and 12 split in half. I don't know if that means that it's going to be for sure. They're going to have 8. They're going to make sure they have eight World players, 8 USA players, and 8. Okay, yes, no, sorry, 16 USA players, 2 and 2. I'm assuming that's what it would be, unless, however, more of the world players make it, then maybe they'll split it up a little more. I'm not sure if that's how they're going to go about it, but it will be interesting to see what happens. What I did for mine was I didn't really factor in the world thing just because I wanted to see what exactly it is. Because at the end of the day, the only thing I saw was 12 East, 12 West, so that's exactly what I'm going to look at for now. No one, I haven't seen a breakdown as to how they're going to do it. Like I don't know if they're going to do 8 USA for worlds per conference. I feel like that would make the most sense. However, I also don't know how much the NBA has thought through this. So, yeah, like I said, I just went straight 12 and 12, like 12 and 12. I didn't consider what their origin, where they're from, or anything, just because I wanted to get the best players out there. And if anyone corrects me in the comments, or if I see any more specifics lately, because the one flyer the NBA came out with, that was pretty big. So, but if any, yeah, like obviously, if I'm corrected that about how the league is going to work, then I will make my corrections for sure. Yeah. So yeah. So that's all that is for like how like the NBA criteria is. Now I'm going to dive into mine. So this year's a little bit different in the sense that the NBA in the past has been pretty set in stone for how the positions goes. They would have 12 players per conference like they do this year, but it would be for the starters, they would have 2 guards and 3 front court. It used to be 2 guards, 2 forwards, in the center, but then they made a 3 front court just to make it a little more um not as hard for the centers to get in. But now they're making completely positionless. So okay, yeah, that's the start. The starters would be 2 guards at 3 front court. The same thing it would be for the bench. It would be 2 guard, 3 front court, and then 2 wild cards. But now they're going completely positionless. Just picking like the 12 best players in each conference. It sounds like, or how are they doing with the world players? I don't know if they're going to do eight best USA players in one conference, and then the 4 best world players in that conference, or if they're going to do maybe they might do here are the 8 best world players, and we could scramble the East and the West based on that. I doubt they do that, but we'll see. But yeah, like I said, I didn't really factor in where they're from just because I wanted to see exactly how my formula would match up. However, I didn't go with the whole it's going to be completely positionless because obviously when the fans vote, they're going to have the option to vote for whoever they want. That's not what I did though. I kind of just went my own way. I didn't go like it was in the past where I said, okay, I'm going to go position. I'm going to go position by position, make sure that every player position was like that. But however, I did break it down a little bit. So rather than it being for the starters, 2 guards, 3 front court, I went with 2 guards, 2 front courts, and 1 wild card, making sure that that we didn't have a scenario a few years ago, like I believe it was 2022, when Andrew Wiggins was a starter, but Luka Doncic was coming off the bench. That was nonsense, and I'm sure everyone agrees with me there. Or another scenario would, and then also for the bench, when I went deeper, was I did the same thing. I went with 2 guards, 2 front courts, and then the remaining 3 guys would be wild cards. So really, every person has an equal shot at getting in my view. Obviously, the only plot hole might be that guys like DeMar DeRozan, Andrew Wiggins, Mikal Bridges, none of those guys, besides maybe Bridges, have the chance of making the All-Star game. Any of those guys, like they say, like, okay, but he plays shooting guard and small forward, so what is he? I made them only one position. Like I kind of just went off my own vibe. But again, this is only my ballot, so this isn't set in stone for the rules. But if I were the emperor of the NBA and my rules, it was my rules, I would say, okay, DeMar DeRozan, you're a shooting guard. You can only be one. Like people want to vote for you for an All-Star game. They're going to have to vote for you as a guard or a wild card. They can't vote for you as a front court. Mikal Bridges, you are a small forward. You're not a shooting guard. If you want to get in the All-Star game, people are going to have to vote for you in as a small forward. So the way that I view it is that positions still matter in basketball. I know people say, "Oh, we play in a positionless sport right now." That's just not true. You can't go out there and ride with 5 point guards. You can't go out there and ride with 5 centers. Even if you went with five small forwards, which is probably the most versatile position, you need a guard to hand the ball. You need a center to protect the rim and hit some post shots. Maybe you can get away with it if you have like 5, 6, like 6'8", 6'9" guys, but even then, I feel like it's still very much a stretch in the sense of that. But yeah, just the way that I see it is that positions still matter, but like not so much to the extent where like you need to have guards, forwards, and centers. I made it to the extent of okay, so we need at least pretty much the way that I'm seeing it is you need at least 4 guards and you need at least 4 front courts and the remaining are whatever. And it's not like that. I said, oh, we need the X amount of point guards, X amount of shooting guards. I think that I did pretty well with the fact that every single player has an equal shot at getting in at the end of the day because you have a 50-50 shot for the starters, and then after that, okay, or no, sorry, I shouldn't say that. You're like eligible for 60% of the bench of the starters, and then a higher percentage for the bench. So that's the way that I see it. Is that even though I'm going based off position somehow, everyone has an equal shot at getting in. That's the way that I look at it. Okay. So yeah, that's how like I did my ballots. However, I'm going to talk about one more thing, and that's just exactly how I decide my All Stars. Usually when I build a team, I usually do it based off how they're going to play well together. All-Star game, it doesn't really matter like that. I just say who's been the best, who's been the best player that year, B, who's been the most impactful player. I don't really factor in who would be the most fun to, which player would be the most fun to play. I'm a big basketball nerd, and I watch and I enjoy watching everyone play. So, but like I understand that not everyone goes that way, and I'm not speaking down to people like that. I'm not going to be the movie critic who speaks down to people who like to watch superhero movies. I'm talking strictly in the sense of some people just like to watch the All-Star game just for fun's sake, and they're not gonna like to watch Rudy Gobert even though I like watching Rudy Gobert play. So yeah, but like pretty much all I did was how good you've been this year, how impactful you've been, and I kind of factor in team success, not really. Like if there's like a team that's like the 5th or the 6th seed without any really star players, I kind of give the edge to them because I do feel like that if a team is winning some games, that they should probably have at least one All-Star. That's not always going to be the case. Like especially if there's a guy that's like putting up 35 and 12. That's not the case this year. The guy's like putting up 35 and 12 on the 12th seed, then yeah, he's going to get it. But it's gonna be pretty case by case. But for the most part, my criteria is not as loose as it is on certain things. Like when I'm ranking my players, that's like a much more strict criteria. But basically, the All-Star game, as I said, like as much as I pick the best player and the most impactful player, a lot of it's based on vibes as well. So do that as what you will. So with that being said, yeah, it's time for me to actually go into the list. So I think I'm going to start off with the West, go geography-wise. So we'll go over my starters first, obviously. The 2 guards that I picked for the West, the easiest decision that it's been in a while, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Luka Doncic. I don't think that anyone has the slightest bit argument for the second spots. I'm sure that's been like that before. Even a couple years ago, you could probably say the same thing about Shai and Luka. I feel like this year it's a whole other level because like even last year when Luka was injured, Steph Curry ended up starting. Luka has a couple of injury games, but that being said, he's only missed a handful. I think 4, and he's been playing like at an MVP level in the games that he's played in. So very easily, the 2 of them are going to get the All-Star starting odds, and obviously make up 2 of the world players if and when they get in. I think about going live is that I can't cut that part about me coughing out, but so then the next 2 guys would be the 2 front court guys, and again, very easy decision. I'm going to go with Nikola Jokic and Victor Wembanyama. Now, Jokic, obviously, no brainer right there, putting together an all-time great season. But Wemby is a little tougher because he might get the fan vote in because of how great he's been to start and how funny he is to watch. But he's gonna miss a few weeks, so I don't know if he's going to be eligible or if he's going to be able to play. Even I hope so at the very least. but I don't know. I don't know what the Spurs plan is with him and what exactly they're gonna go about it. But I also don't know what the lease plan is for um like or like the coaches and the media they're gonna vote for Wemby. I don't know. He on a per game basis he's playing like a top like he's playing like one of the five best players in the league. But um yeah, just for now I would pick him for be starter the next week or two. I might say okay he hasn't played enough games, but this is two dates. Like if this would be if Adam Silver gave me an envelope that said, okay, write down your 12 All Stars on like 12 All Stars in the East, 12 All Stars in the West. Wemby would be in mine because the due date was today. But if the due date was today, I would say Wemby is there because um, just because he's been so great to start the year and he hasn't missed enough games yet. He's missed some games, but not enough to leave him out altogether yet. If he still misses 2 or 3 weeks from now, 2 or 3 weeks from now, I might have to cut him out altogether. But we'll see. So the two locks, so the two guards, I have Shea and Luka. The two front court, I have Luka. Sorry, not I have Jokic and Wemby, leaving one more eligible wild card player. Any player is eligible for this under my system. And that player, I had a couple options, but I essentially decided to go James Harden. I understand the Clippers have been pretty bad this year, but that being said, Harden has been backpacking them, scored the 55-point special on Saturday or Sunday. I don't remember if it was Sunday actually, but and yeah, the Clippers have just been brutal this year. But however, the Harden has just been. I got to look at the stat later, but I'm sure his on-off numbers have been insane. The Clippers are 5-12, but I don't think that should matter given how unfortunate the Clippers have put in this situation. But Harden has just made it 100 times better for them. So he gets the All-Star starter nod for me as it's saying. So with that, after that, we'll be the bench again. Again, we'll do two guards and then two front court and then three more after that. So the two remaining guards after Luka, Shea, and in this case Harden, I went with Steph Curry and Austin Reeves. I don't think that there's any really a good argument for anyone else above the two of them. I'll go into that later once I go into my wild cards. But yeah, Luka and Reeves. Sorry, Steph and Reeves have definitely been, in my opinion, the fourth and fifth best cards out west. Obviously, if you were to go with the front court guy instead of Harden for the starting spot, Harden would be the guy that I would probably knock out Reeves. But yes, Steph, I think has been the fourth best card, and Reeves has been the fifth best card. So yeah, the Warriors have been kind of disappointing, but still, at least from the start of the season. But Steph Curry's still playing at an all-star level. Austin Reeves has kind of slipped off a bit since coming back from injury. That being said, he did score 30-something points the other night. I forgot when, it was a couple of nights ago. But yeah, he's looking like an all-star. I said all NBA. He's more looking like a middle of the pack all-star player rather than all NBA player. But yeah, that's the way that I see it. And then the two front court guys, again, I have two international guys, Alperen Sengun and Lauri Markkanen. The two of them are usually at like the very edge of like the wild card, saying like, okay, maybe they might make it, maybe they won't. I think the two of them deserve it this year. I know that the Jazz have been trashed this year. What are they, 5-12? Yeah, 5-12 to the Clippers, but yeah, Markkanen's been awesome this year. So I don't think there's an argument against him. Honestly, I think he's putting. What do you have? Like 28 and 12 or something like that. I could be totally making those numbers, but at the very least, it's like in the late 20s and double-digit rebounds. So I don't know if he's a lock, but I definitely think he's the closest thing to a lock, if not. So the bench starts off with Stephen Reeves along with Sengun and Markkanen, and then that leaves three more bench spots that can be any three players. And a couple options to go with here, but I'm just gonna say the three of them. I went with Julius Randle, Devin Booker, and Anthony Edwards. Julius Randle, I haven't really watched a ton of him this year, from being honest. With that being said, he's been putting up some pretty high impact stats for sure, as well as being extremely efficient and everything along those lines. And the numbers are the thing. Like, obviously, Ant's been putting up more shots and has obviously drawn a lot more of the offensive responsibility. But I think that Randle has been the best player in the Timberwolves this year. I thought that heading into last year, he'd be the third best Timberwolf, but he's been the best one this year as far as it goes for efficiency, as far as it goes for productivity. Ant might be scoring a little bit more, but I give the edge to Randle. I think he's the better playmaker. I think he's been the better defender. Yeah, like obviously Ant's been doing good enough to where like I'm probably going to put him as my third. the third guy, which that being said, I'm also going to lead to Devin Booker, who I don't even know what his numbers have looked like. If being honest, like I know his advanced numbers have been looking pretty good, but Booker is currently averaging 26 points a night on 47% in the field, 33 from three, and 7 assists. That's is that career high? It's got to be close to it. If it's not, it's not. He averaged 7 the year before, last year, but still, he's the Suns were supposed to sink this year, and they don't. It's like obviously Booker isn't solely to praise for that. You got to give some of the praise to Colin Gillespie and Dylan Brooks, Mark Williams. They've been playing pretty well. But that being said, like none of that would work if Devin Booker wasn't the guy leading the way. So I'm someone that's been much higher in Devin Booker the past year than I've been in the past. So shout out to Devin Booker. He's definitely been doing a great job leading this team and worthy of an all-star nod for sure. So with that, I'll give my honorable mentions. The first one goes to Jimmy Butler, who's been looking pretty good. Like I've watched some of the Warriors, and he's been looking relatively good. I know that some people like doubt like his ability. He's a little bit older. I know he can have like a bad attitude in the locker room sometimes, but I got to give it to him. He's been very good this year. Chess missed the All-Star nod, in my opinion. Maybe he'll play good the next few weeks and eventually make it. Not that he really cares. He usually doesn't go anyway. But after that, my next one would be Deni Avdija from the Portland Trail Blazers. I think the Blazers are currently the 9th seed, so props to them. And props to Deni Avdija. He's been I don't even know how to say his last name, but he's been very, very solid this season. Pulling up the numbers now, he's averaging 25 a night on 38% from the field, while averaging 6 boards and 5 assists. That's all. It's solid. And he's been like the one leading the locker room. Obviously, Jrue Holiday's been like the main guy, probably leading the locker room. But like, as far as it goes for like being like the veteran who also, and he's not really a veteran, but like the guy who has like slightly more experience than like a lot of younger guys, and probably like the most stats player of the team. He's been very good this year. So I don't know how good the Blazers are going to be the rest of the year, but Deni was looking like a front runner for MIP this year, and I think he might win it. So shout out to Deni. And the last one, I'm going to go with Kevin Durant. He might make it anyway, just for the name recognition. I don't know if he has a good argument, but that being said, he's still averaging 25 and 9 on 60% true shooting. So there's really not much to complain about with him. But obviously, I do think that Sengun has been the clear best player on the team. Not that that's much to shame about. Sengun's been awesome this year, and so have the Rockets. But yeah, so I don't know exactly what they're going to do with KD, because I know the fan voting is going to take up a lot of it. I don't even know if LeBron's going to still get voted in, but we'll see what happens there. So in short, for the West, my starters are Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, and James Harden. And my bench players are Steph Curry, Austin Reeves, Alperen Sengun, Lauri Markkanen, Julius Randle, Devin Booker, and Anthony Edwards. So those are my players for the West. I'm going to go over them again when we go over to when we put them all together. But now I'm going to go over to the East. The East was, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if it was easy. I think the starters were a little bit harder for sure. The bench players were probably a little bit easier, but also easy out of saying like, wait, this guy's the next best one up. So in ways it was harder, in ways it was easier, but obviously it's worse than the West. So like the East, the West, it was more so like, wow, like, Butler, I have to cut, Danny, I have to cut. That stings. For the East, it was, wait, what? I'm adding this guy in? That's weird. So, for the East, I'm going to go like I did before. So the two guards. This one's very obvious too. They're not as good as Shane Luka, but however, I did go with Tyrese Maxey and Donovan Mitchell. I have them both 5th and 6th, so both of them like just fighting it out for that top 5 spot for MVP odds. Mitchell, in my opinion, Mitchell's better this year than he was last year. He's just playing on a worse team. Like Mobley's not playing as good as he used to be, as he was last year. Ty Jerome, obviously not on the team this year. Darius Garland was injured for a good amount of it, but Mitchell's been playing better. And the Cavs are, what are they, the 3rd or the 4th seed because of it? They're currently sitting at the 4th seed, just half a game behind the Heat, but also only half a game above the Knicks and the Hawks for the 5 and 6 seed. So they could be lower, could be higher. But the end of the day, I still think they have a really high ceiling, mainly because I still do believe in Evan Mobley. I still do believe in Donovan Mitchell. So, and Kenny Atkinson as well. So I'm just hoping that the Celtics aren't contenders this year. So like the Cavs are the team that I'm looking for. But but like regardless, Mitchell has been awesome, and Tyrese Maxey has been looking like a top 5 player in the league this year. The Sixers stink. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Joel Embiid's injured a lot. VJ Edgecombe has really fallen back down to earth. Andre Drummond is playing better as like a backup second option. He's playing like the best backups in a role you could have for like if your superstar center were to fall. He's playing like a very good backup center. Like that's now starting. So he's playing very, very good. But still, it's Tyrese Maxey's the one leading the way. He dropped 54 points, I think, the other night. So shout out to Tyrese Maxey, one of my favorite players in the league. And as long as he stays healthy, he's gonna get the All-Star starter nod with no questions, in my opinion. And for the East front court, only one of them was obvious. And I decided to go obviously with Giannis. He's missed the past few games. I think he should be back in the next couple of days, hoping at least. I say this about Giannis every year. It feels like he's getting underrated every year, like kind of like overlooked every year. Like people just kind of gloss over the fact, oh, this guy's averaging 31-12 on 63 true shooting. I don't know those are his numbers. I can imagine it's pretty similar to that though. Oh, okay. But look at what Jokic and Shea are doing. What they're doing is better. Correct, but Giannis is still playing at an all-time level, and that shouldn't go unnoticed for sure. So yeah, as long as he's back and plays a few games, he should also be a lock for the All-Star starter. Even if he's back in like a week or two, I still think he'll be a lock for All-Star starter. The second front court was hard to decide because I don't know if any of the guys that I was considering are All-Star starter worthy, but that being said, all three of them have been playing better than expected. And the one that I went with, I'm going to be completely biased here, but I'm going to go Jaylen Brown. I know it may seem biased, and it is, but at the end of the day, Jaylen Brown, what is he having? 28 a night on very good efficiency with very good defense on a team that was supposed to be tanking, but he just seems to be refusing them to. They're over 500. I think they're either in the playing spot or just above the playing spots. So yeah, shout out Jaylen Brown, man. Probably the biggest Jaylen Brown defender on TikTok, on Twitter as well. I'm very rare. I defend both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown all the time simultaneously. I know that's pretty rare that people seem to be like, oh no, you have to like one or the other. You can't choose. No, I can choose. Like, I'm not choosing between the two. They're both my favorite players in the league. And yeah, Jaylen Brown's been awesome. The Celtics haven't been that awesome. It's been mostly Brown and Payne Pritchard doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But yeah, definitely go. Jaylen Brown has earned the starting spot in my opinion. And then the final, so the locks for the positions were Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Maxey, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Jaylen Brown. And the final wildcard spot, I decided to go with Cade Cunningham. Now, Cade's advanced stats haven't been looking as strong as Maxey and Mitchell's, but that being said, you're the best player on a team that's 15-2. They've won 13 in a row. There's not much else to say. Like obviously, dude, we're gonna give you the starting. Like you're playing very good basketball this year. I don't know what his counting numbers are. Let me check that up real quick. So he's currently averaging 27 and 9 with 6 boards and a steal a game. I believe that all of those are upgrades from last year, except for his 3-point shot is down, which is fine. His rebound is down by 1/10 of a point. Assist numbers are up. Steals numbers are up. So yeah, he's been improving. He was an All-Star last year, and he's going to be starting the All-Star game this year, in my opinion. Even if you go strictly by position, I feel like a lot of the teams and coaches might go with, okay, let's go with the guy. Let's go with the guy like Cade over Mitchell because his team's much better. So even though the Pistons have a very good team, it's because of Cade. Like he's the one leading the way. So he gets the final starting nod. So my East starters are Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jaylen Brown, and Cade Cunningham. Those are my 5 starters for the East as of November 25th. So now we'll go to the bench. So again, 2 more guards, 2 more front courts, and 3 more wild cards. The 2 guards, these were pretty easy, if I'm not mistaken. Checking my notes now. I don't think there are many other options in my personal opinion. But I did decide to go with Norman Powell and Jalen Brunson. Norman Powell is playing awesome. The Heat are currently the 3 seed, and it's not like Bam Adebayo and Andrew Wiggins have been playing awesome either. I think Powell, what is he averaging? He's averaging 25 a night on 47%. Sorry, it's 46%. Sorry, from three with the steal a game. He hasn't really been doing good in the playmaking aspects of it, but I think he's been the best player in the Heat this year. I know you can maybe make an argument for Bam because of the defense and everything, but I definitely think that Norman has been the best player. He was like one of the main guys that people said they were snubbed last year from the All-Star game. I don't think he was snubbed, but that being said, he was definitely one of the better players that was left off. And I think that now he's in a weaker conference this year, playing even better than he was last year. I think that he's going to make it this year. Jalen Brunson. I'm someone who's criticized him a lot in the past. And even this year, I said like, "Oh wow, he's not playing as. I feel like he's not playing as well. Like, I wonder why. Wonder why that is." I looked at his numbers. His scoring numbers have improved, and his efficiency has only dipped like 0.5%. So I definitely think it's has more to do with the fact that the Knicks just aren't as good as they were last year. I think that Brunson's been great. He's gonna be fine. So yeah, he's gonna make the All-Star game in my opinion, as long as he stays healthy. And then the two more front row guys, you can make an argument for either of these guys starting over Jaylen Brown, but I went Scotty Barnes and Jalen Johnson. The Raptors, what are they winning? 7 in a row now, is it? Maybe, what was it, 5, 7 in a row? 8 in a row, geez. Yeah, they're currently sitting at 13 and 5. I'm someone who criticized the Raptors a ton, saying like, no, this team stinks. What are we doing here? Nope, they're a very good team. Led by Scotty Barnes. I don't know how sustainable it is. Brandon Ingram played filthy last night too. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about the Raptors, but 13-5 is very good. I mean, it's great. It's great, not good, but who knows what's going to happen for them for the rest of the year. And Jalen Johnson's been great this year too. Obviously, Trae Young has been out for a little bit, or was out for a little bit, but yeah, Jalen Johnson seemed to be the one to take the wheel and lead the way. And last year, people were saying he was like one of the bigger studs from the East, and I don't know if I don't even know what I don't know like what people's criteria are going to be, but yeah, I would pick him pretty easily for the next front court guy. But that also leaves us with 3 more spots open. These were kind of hard to pick, but I did decide to go with, I'm going to lay out all 3 at once. So Jalen Duren, Franz Wagner, and Josh Giddey. Duren has been playing like one of the best defenders in the league this year. One of the main reasons, in addition to Cade, as to why the Pistons have been so awesome this year. Not much to say. You can look at anything about him. Everyone's talking about how awesome he's been. Franz Wagner. I'm someone who sold all of my stock in the Magic literally 2 weeks ago. And I'm not looking to buy any more stock in them because I still am a little pessimistic on them. Not still a little. I'm still very pessimistic on them. What are they? Oh, they're still 7-3 in the last 10 games. But I'm not interested in buying more stock because I simply don't believe now. I'm officially on the train. I don't think that Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero have a future together. It's been 4 years now, and it's pretty much always like, it's not like this isn't like, as someone who was like adamantly saying no, Tatum and Brown will play together. They play great together. They've made multiple conference finals. They made the finals twice. They now have a championship. I'm someone who's been adamantly saying no, Tatum and Brown are one of the best duos in the league. I don't feel that way with Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. It just can't be a thing to where Paolo is supposed to be the better player out of them, and whenever Franz leaves the court, they just completely fall down. And now that Paolo's out, Franz Wagner's been the one to step it up and look like the All-Star. So I think time's ticking with Paolo and Franz's time in Orlando. Even if you decide to go with Paolo, say like, okay, look, Franz's been playing great this year. Let's see if we can get some pieces back for him. That's not necessarily a bad decision, but I don't think the two of them can coexist anymore. I think we've seen enough evidence at this point, and this isn't like a no reactionary take. This has been 3-4 years of data saying no. This team, Paolo and Franz, when they're on the court together, it's not as good as when when Franz is on the court alone. And Paolo Banchero, and even if you want to say in the playoffs, it was reverse. Paolo was the one that stepped it up, but Franz is the one that fall down. So. Kind of a side tangent that we have. Yeah, Franz Wagner is the 11th guy to make the All-Star game for me. And 12th guy is Josh Giddey. He was playing awesome to start the year. He's kind of fallen off a little since. Let me check to see the numbers right there. Josh Giddey is currently averaging 20 points per game, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. So still very, very good. Debatably triple-double, however you want to say it. Yeah, so averaging the low 20s, like a low 20s triple double is always going to be less impressive than like a late 20s, early 30s triple double, but that's still impressive nonetheless, especially when it's pretty solid efficiency, like 39% from three. And obviously, a stock and a half per game. So, yeah. Not much else to add on to that. But yeah, Giddy would be the last guy to get the All Star nod, mostly because he's like one of the last remaining guys for like the playing teams squeeze out there. But anyway, my honorable mentions would go to Pascal Siakam, Michael Porter Jr., and Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges mainly just because of how good of his advanced numbers have looked. And Siakam obviously just still playing pretty solid level, and then Michael Porter Jr. putting up together some very high stat lines. I have him on the so that's been pretty good. So yeah, for the East, my final roster, not final, my picks for the All-Star game, as of if my ballot were due today, would be Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jaylen Brown, Cade Cunningham, Norman Powell, Jalen Brunson, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Johnson, Jalen Duren, Franz Wagner, and Josh Giddey. It's three Jalen. Jeez. Those are my picks for the All-Star game as of November 25th. They're not due until, is it January? Probably. I think it's January, right? Because I think it's like I think they announced like a week before the trade deadline. So yeah, we're like late mid-January. So yeah, we have like another 2 months of ballots haven't even opened yet. That's just me giving my take. But that's pretty much all I had for tonight. Obviously, there's a lot of basketball to be played. We'll be back next week with everything. I don't know if NBA Max is going to be on tomorrow night or not. I know that I won't be on. Regardless, before I sign off, I did want to just say my takes one more time. If the All-Star game ballots were due tomorrow, my picks would be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic for the West, Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, James Harden, Steph Curry, Austin Reeves, Alperen Sengun, Larry Markkinen, Julius Randle, Devin Booker, and Anthony Edwards. And for the East, it would be Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jaylen Brown, Cade Cunningham, Norm Powell, Jalen Brunson, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Johnson, Jalen Duren, Franz Wagner, and Josh Giddey. Those are my picks. Obviously just leave your comments down below what you think. So this has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. Be sure to check out my additional content. You can't really see me from here unless I go like this. Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, if you follow me on all social media platforms, at All American Hooper on TikTok and Instagram, make sure that you put the zeros for the Instagram, and at American Hooper on Twitter. Check out my additional content. As I said, we have NBA Max on Wednesday nights. I don't think we're going tomorrow night. I'm not going tomorrow night. If they are, I'll be sure to tune in to Jalen, Ori, and Tony. Also check out my column on primetimesportstalk.com. Every 2 weeks, I've been putting out my power rankings of the top 10 teams in the league. So, this has been another episode of the Armored Hoops podcast. I'm Chris Driscoll. Until next time, keep grinding and stay hooping. Have a good night.